Hey guys, you're in the cut with Slidercuts. Today I'm taking you through this skin fade on one side and a shape up. So stay with me if you want to know how I do this. And I'm using a different technique to what I think I've shown you guys before. Or I might have shown it to you once before, but anyway, stick with me. So listen, you go with a 1.5 closed up to your invisible line, which I haven't shown you where my invisible line is, but you can kind of see where I'm stopping and just flicking out. Now you can't really see me flicking out, but understand that every time I go up to that invisible line, it is a flick out. Can you see I'm coming out? And the reason why you flick out is because it helps you to fade and not create more lines. This fade has no guidelines in it. It's literally straight, stripping the hair until it's blended. So go up to your invisible line and flick out, and then I drop down a gauge to my number one, and I'm just going to go with the grain, flatten it before I flip it around and go from underneath the line, open up that lever as you saw me do, and go to my invisible line and flick out. Now my invisible line this time is slightly lower than where I was when I was using a 1.5. Then when I close the lever with a number one, I do exactly the same thing, go to the same place and just flick out. You don't want to create more lines, so make sure you flick out. So I'm just keep going through the hair, go up to my invisible line and flick out, and keep doing that till you're happy, you know, that there's not that much hair coming off. And then you'll drop down the gauges to the open blade and come from underneath the line, go through and flick out. Now notice where I'm going, where I'm flicking out is actually lower than where I was with the number one. So with the 1.5, I was at a certain place. Then with the one, I was slightly lower. And now with the open blade, I'm slightly lower. And now every time I reduce that lever, look, I'm going even lower, closer to the original skin line. And look at that. We're talking about 2 minutes in, under 2 minutes in, and we have a basic fade. And this is the important thing, guys. This video has no editing. It's just straight. And I think it's important to sometimes show you guys no edited videos, because sometimes in the edits we cut out all of the fat and stuff like that, all the stuff like this, where I'm just kind of like smoothing over it, looking at little things, just because it's not really that necessary. But I think it's actually important sometimes for you to see just how a haircut actually goes in real motion. So now I faded it and I'm happy in under 2 minutes, because I think one of the key things is to make sure that you don't spend too much time on any area or spend too much time just cutting. Get through the haircut and then afterwards go back over it and then refine it and fix it up. So I'm just looking at it and I'm like, okay, cool. I went over it, did a couple things. Look, back with the 1.5. I'm seeing areas that I think could be smoother. The blend could be a little bit neater. So I'm going over it right now. I'm looking at the hair at the top. I'm like, ooh, there's a lot of hair sticking up. Let me just smooth over that area. And this is just what happens in a real haircut. So I'm gonna finish this part off probably in the next 30 seconds, just smoothing over the front, because I'm about to shape it up. So I just want to make sure that the front is flat and I don't need to take any more hair off it. So let's get into the shape up. Let's get straight into it. Start at the bottom and press down, pull away, and follow up in a straight line. So where you started, literally go in a straight line up. This is how you get straight lines, the same as the front. Start from the middle, comb that hair out, and follow a cross in a straight line to meet the side line at the top, making a corner, right angle, 90 degrees, all of that kind of good stuff. Now we have a basic shape up just like that. I'm going over it. I've combed it out a few times and I'm going over it. This is a decent place to leave the shape up, especially if you are a beginner. But for my advanced barbers, let me explain something to you. Going over it once is not good enough. And the reason why it's not good enough is because what happens is when he goes away in his own life and he's playing football and he's running and he's doing whatever, this line will kind of like disappear. So it's very important that you keep combing it out and hitting it on the line. When I mean hitting on the line, I mean literally when you comb it out, there'll be these strands that stick out. The hair will come out of place a little bit. Can you see where it's come out of place? And with the with the trimmers, you will hit it on the line, just scraping those edges so that the shape up will last longer. It will also make the shape up more defined, but most importantly, it will help the shape up to last longer. I go over it quite a few times because I just want to make sure that if I was to see this client on the street in 2-3 days, his shape up would still look good. Because many barbers shape someone up where they look good for the picture, they look good for the video, they look good walking out, but later on that day when they've washed out their hair, the shape up just comes out of place. So it's important that if you want to give someone a good shape up, that you spend more time combing it out. Look, sorry, see how I've combed out? Can you see it's come out of place? Those are the type of things that will happen when they are out and about. And that's the reason why I comb it out. I comb out in different directions and I just hit it on the line, scraping those edges to make sure that it's not just a good shape up for the video and for the picture, but it's a good shape up. And that will keep clients coming back. Trust me. Clients will come back if you give them a good haircut that lasts long and looks good when they leave the chair, but also when they wake up in the morning. Can you see what I'm talking about right now, guys? So I'm just going to keep combing it out. I'm looking at it right now in the mirror to see is it straight. That's what happens when you see me go to the behind the camera. That's me looking at it in the mirror to see what needs work. As I said, guys, this is a video that is not any edits because I want you guys to see the full process of what I'm actually doing. As I said earlier, most videos you see, which is not an issue, I do it all the time. We cut out all of the fat. We cut out all of that kind of stuff there and we just get straight to the most important parts. But I think also the parts that are quote unquote not that important actually sometimes are very important for you guys to see, because you can get into your head that actually a shape up took 2 minutes when it doesn't. This shape up's going to take me maybe, what I'm showing you, maybe 5 minutes. And I could have cut it up to make it 2 minutes, but that's just not a true reflection of what happens in a barber chair. So I think it's good for you guys to see it so that when you are cutting people's hair, you can be like, okay, cool, you know, I saw him doing all of these things here. So yeah, I just keep combing it out and then look at it in the mirror. What areas need to be straightened up? You can see me behind him looking at it, straighten up. Make sure you straighten up the client's head, because there's no point of having his head bent and then you straighten up the shape up. But when they straighten up their hair, now their hairline is bent. So make sure that you straighten out their head that is straight and you look at it straight ahead. And then you can comb it out and say, okay, is this part, is that part that needs work? And that's what I'm doing right here. And this is how you get a good, defined, long-lasting shape up. Keep going back at it, looking behind it. I'm looking at it, look. And you can see, if you look carefully, you can see the things which I'm doing, because you can see that I'm combing it out and certain things are just kind of like, ooh, that's coming out of place. Now, it's important to know, it's never going to be perfect, but you can make it good. See, I'm looking at the edges and I'm like, okay, I've left a little bit too much hair on the edges. And now I'm even going over the fade as well. Just saying, okay, look, I can see there's a bit of a line there. It could be smoother. The blend could be better. So I'm just going over it. And this is just me like refining the haircut. And look how much time I've spent refining the haircut. Because in the beginning, I spent 2 minutes fading that side. And I have spent more time actually going over it. And that's what I'm always trying to tell barbers, especially beginner barbers. Get through the haircut quickly. Not saying rush and make mistakes, but get through the haircut quickly and then come back over it and make the haircut great by refining it and going over the things that need improving. And I must say to you guys, I always say this to myself, I always say this to barbers, it's never going to be perfect. And there's always going to be something that can be improved, and there's always going to be something that you can see to be improved. But don't get caught up in doing that, because you could spend 2 hours doing a haircut. And then what ends up happening is you end up just making mistakes. Taking a good haircut, making it bad because we were overdoing it. So look, I'm refining. You can see what I'm doing. I'm not just doing nothing. Can you see that the fade isn't that, it's smooth, it is smooth, but you can see that when I'm going over it, can you see that it's becoming smoother? So I'm not just doing this for no reason. There is a purpose to what I'm actually doing. You see the bottom line, it's still a little bit there. You say the blend isn't fully blended. Even what I'm doing right now, it was a little bit darker, so I've taken some weight off it and made it lighter, and now it's blended better. So refining, there's a purpose to it. You're just not looking good. You're not just doing it for the sake of it, just to look like you're doing something. You're actually doing something. You know, rewind the video and see what it looked like a minute ago to what it looks like now. It's smoother. And even right now, when I hit the bottom line with the open blade, just taking out that line a little bit more, you can see that it's disappearing it and the blend is looking cleaner. Wind it back a little bit and rewatch it and you'll see it. You've been in the cut with Slidercuts. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave your comments to let me know what you think of the video, and share it with someone who you think would benefit from it.